Hello, welcome to night 3 of Transvolve's Enhanced Learning and Consciousness Conference. Tonight we're going to talk about consciousness and movement, as well as sort of creative visioning of our lives with Josh and I. We're joined in video by Aaron McCullough, tuba player in Florida. And the first thing we're going to talk about today are the basics of movement and what we can get out of thinking about the fundamentals of movement. So a little bit about my background to this. I was in Hong Kong, I was playing in the Philharmonic, and I was getting worse and worse back pain from practicing. I was just sore all the time. And I couldn't walk very long, I couldn't stand very long without experiencing discomfort. And so I started trying all sorts of different things. I was going to yoga, chiropractic, physiotherapy, physical trainers, you name it. And the one endeavor that really grabbed my attention and proved the most effective was Wing Chun Kung Fu. So it's interesting to note that Wing Chun was developed about 300 years ago by a woman who was a grand master of Kung Fu already. And Kung Fu has a lot of different styles that are based on different animals, for example, mantis style or dragon style. This is what you would call the human style of Kung Fu. It's based on the principles, structure, and natural movements of the human body. And the reason that she invented it is because she didn't have the brute force to fight anymore with power. So Wing Chun strives to teach us how to move with power, but not force. To have intensity without tension. And we bring that into our movement and also as a metaphor for the way that we move through life. So what I want to start with is the basic idea of what is relaxation and feeling relaxation. So let's just hold out our arms for a second to the right or the left and hold it and feel it, tense really all the way down, make a fist tight, and just let it drop. It's great. You just flopped it. Let's try it with the other arm. As tense as possible, make a fist, and then drop. All right, good. So that's sort of the feeling of release. Now more subtly, we can put our energy, for example, into our wrist, like the right wrist, and feel it relax and hanging. Lily, why don't you come here for a second? So if you give me your arm, and just drop your arm. Yeah, it's quite a little bit tight. You can see it's getting a little looser now. And if I shake it, you can see she's still holding a little. If I'm moving it, now it's more relaxed. And it just falls when it's loose. Okay, good job. The idea behind this is that all this tension is isometric tension. It's exactly opposing muscles like bicep and tricep that are producing no motion at all. It's just going to sticking or stabilizing. But in fact, our bones can be the primary stabilizers. So we want to move with as little tension as possible. And it's this feeling of just letting go that we can feel in our joints as well. Let's start cultivating that just by shaking the wrists in front of us. And you want to get it so that they're just kind of hanging and bouncing and totally loose. You can move them any which way, and they're just floppy. Yeah. And feeling your fingertips and kind of the blood flowing through your fingertips might give you better access, so your fingers are even feeling like jelly. Everything's hanging, the palms are warm and relaxed. Yeah, you're all looking a little bit better. It's quite dangly. Now let's try that with the elbows and see if we can get the elbows kind of moving up and open. You might feel a heavy sensation or an openness, more warmth. Those kinds of things tell you you're on the right track for finding a relaxed sensation. Now let's move to the shoulder joint. And what we do in a lot of movement arts is this rotation. You're just moving your spine back left to right like a rotating pole and letting the arms relax totally. So they're just swinging around you like weights attached with string, to the shoulder. Just imagine that they're pendulums. And if you turn faster, they'll go higher. But if you turn slower, they'll stay low. That's great. One thing you can think about while doing this movement is the integrity of the spine, going from the base of the spine all the way up through to the crown of the head is one vector that's aligned with gravity. See if you feel any points that are sticky in the rotation of your spine. Aim for an even rotation all along the spine. That loosens us up a bit. Now let's think about the same principles in our hand wrists of releasing. Also applies to our foot wrists, our ankles. So we can just see if we can release our ankles and get that same sensation of floppiness. This is a little harder. We're not moving the ankle at all. We're moving the leg and letting the ankle dangle like the wrist. That's a little harder. Let's try the other one. Really releasing the ankle, opening the ankle. See if you can feel that floppiness. All right, good. And then the same thing, even we can rotate our legs like this and feel it rotating inside the hip socket and try and find some evenness here. And what we're doing right now is the basic warm-up for a Qigong routine. Qigong practitioners, Tai Chi practitioners, a lot of martial arts, the very first thing they do, switch legs, is just start to mobilize their joints and get in touch with what's possible, what are the vectors of joint movement, so that they have the full palette of choices when it comes time to move. This is good because the next thing I'm going to talk about is adding vectors of force to create more power without extra pushing. And what I'm going to do is demonstrate with Josh. If you just hold this, or just hold here, if I keep my elbow in the same place, and I try and extend, he's a little stronger than me. And you can see that I'm working here, but I don't have much else. But instead, if I add this rotational vector, combining it, then I'm having two joints combining, and there's not much you can do. Hold really tight. It's just not a lot, and you see I'm pretty relaxed when I do it. The idea is that it's the combination of the movement. If I don't coordinate it and if I don't relax it, it doesn't happen. So for example, although this is quite effective, if I'm not coordinating this, he pushes in on me. If I push too hard on this one without rotating, then it doesn't happen. But if I just do it at the same time, it almost looks like a trick, but it's not. If anybody else wants to feel, it's. Oh, do you want to feel? All right. Okay. So Brian's pushing on me. He's a pretty strong guy, and I'm going to resist just from the elbow. And you can see I'm really trying. And now I'm going to show you what happens if I just move the shoulder joint. It collapses, right? But if I combine the two, how does that feel different?
Stronger.
Yeah. But it's a different kind of strength. It's not the sort of strength that feels tense and rigid. It's quite flexible. When I feel it moving, it feels like a heavier, more solid sort of force might be your experience. Yeah. Would you like to try?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to have Brian do this. And let's face the camera a little bit. So what you're going to do is just first keep this steady and just try and move your forearm, resisting. Yeah, he's strong. And if I release, see if just this part of your arm moves, so you're really just using from the elbow forward. Yeah, that's the idea. But it's not very strong. And he's shaking. He's trying really hard. All right, and then just feel what it's like. Give me your control of this for a second. That's the basic motion. It's just, there's a rotation here. Yeah, so just try doing that. And now you don't have to work even half as hard. Just think about coordinating the rotation without pushing off.
It's effortless.
It's effortless. That is what we want. You go ahead. Thanks, Brian. The idea of movement and sort of forcing our way through the world is not the only option that we have. There's also options to create great amount of power and movement without force and the knitted eyes. Instead, you can do it with relaxation, a sense of ease and effortlessness. And for me and for many practitioners, the body is the ultimate vehicle for learning this way of being. And it starts with relaxation, because without relaxation, you kind of, your slate isn't blank enough, so to speak. So this is why we always warm up like this and get our mind in each joint. Ultimately, in order to be able to move really quickly requires a lot of relaxation. And musicians already know this, dancers already know this, athletes already know this. We can't really tense our way through excellence. So while we're doing the Qigong exercises that come up, think about this ease of motion in your movement. Let's start with a basic clearing exercise from Qigong, just to sort of introduce the basics. We spread our feet and just kind of, we're sitting comfortably on our spine. The hands come to our lower dantian. And see if you can feel your shoulders relax. Yeah, nice. Your elbows are loose, your wrists are as relaxed as possible. Start to watch your breath a little bit, just noticing. And as we breathe in, we're going to raise our hands. And exhale, remove the hands with the exhale on your own individual time. And to me, it feels like time in this room just slowed down a little bit when everybody started doing that. It's great. This is called clearing. The idea is that you're bringing in fresh energy, just kind of clearing, pushing out the old, exhaling fully. All right, great. I'm going to get a quick cup of water. And the next thing I'm going to talk about is, I gotta go downstairs. Can I borrow this? The next thing I want to talk about is actually feeling the qi, because this is called qigong after all. And a lot of people wonder, well, what is the qi, or how do I find the qi? And the most effective method that I came across was actually by a shaman called Lujan Matus. And this practice is called traversing the first gate. This is the way that we start to feel the connection between our fingers and gain some inner seeing. So traversing the first gate is known as reversing the eyes and reversing the ears. We'll get to the ears next. For starters, we hold the palms out so that they're in our peripheral vision. You can just see them in the periphery. Focus forward on a point in front of you. Keep the eyes straight forward, but watch your hands as you lower them in the periphery. Just watch them in the side of your mind. Hope you're able to do that. All right. Let's do it one more time. Raising the hands up, just practicing the idea right now, staring forward, but watching the hands in the periphery. Now I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and do the same thing, watching your hands with all your peripheral vision, but keeping your focus forward. And you should have a strong sense at this point of where your hands are. It's almost like you can see them in some other visual sense. And that's what the shaman calls your inner eye. After doing this, you might feel some tingling or a feeling of connection between the fingers. Another thing that we often do is we bring our fingers out, our hands out to the side like this, palms facing each other, and we start to just feel any kind of connection between the hands. You'll have to relax your shoulders for this, relax your back. Yeah, good adjustments. And feel any attraction or magnetism between your hands, any sense of resistance as well. Any connection between the fingertips. It's almost like there might be some pulsing energy between your hands that you can feel, or even through your hands, through your fingertips, across space and into the opposing fingertips. As we bring our hands even closer together, you can imagine a ball of energy. And we're not going to worry about whether it's real or not. We're just going to know that we can imagine it's there. Through its imagining, affect our functioning. So let's bring this ball lower toward Dantian. And over to the left. We're just going to follow it and keep that feeling as you go lower. Breathing out, crossing over the center of the body. And then breathing in up the body. And back to center. Okay. The next part of the practice is reversing the ears. And what we're going to do in this case is, rather than listening inside to our mind, we're going to listen outside. The thing that we focus on is the silence of our breath. Just take a moment, breathe silently, and listen with all your intent to that. Nice. I felt like, at least for me, when I achieved that level of silence, any kind of thought from my chatterbox brain is like a loud, hugely loud noise, and it really becomes noticeable, so I can be more conscious of what's going on. So these are the two ideas that I want to bring to the Qigong. One is reversal of the eyes, so that we're watching our fingers, watching our hands, watching our body as it moves with a visual kinesthetic sense. And reversing the ears, so that we're listening to our breath, even if it's silent, listening with our body and listening with our whole self. Let's start with some movements that are designed to stimulate and balance our chakras. So this is an earth chakra movement. Back. Okay. We're going to root our feet into the ground, feeling a sense of weight that the earth is holding us entirely all the way up. And then with the hands down at our dantian again, we can sort of imagine what the earth's energy might feel like, what the chi of the earth might be like, whether it's magnetic field or whatever. And with an in-breath, draw it up. Feel the visceral stuff of it, and then breathing out, flowing down. It's a lot like clearing. time we're just pulling this from the earth and filling our body with it all the way, kind of packing it into the root chakra. Hands changing directions as the breath changes directions. Relaxing the lower back, relaxing the neck. This will be the last one. The next one we do is for our second chakra, the sacral center. This is our thought to be the sort of processing center of creativity, sexuality, and just our entire sensory experience. And so as we gather chi, breathing in and breathing out along the line of our sacral center, gathering with the other arm. You just start to be grateful for our senses, imagining what the world would be like without color, without sound, taste, smell, touch. And feeding and nourishing that energy center of the body. A lot of people hold tension exactly in this area and have lower back pain that's also part of the sacral chakra. Twisting is a great way to release some of the toxins and introduce more mobility in that region. You can imagine the tailbone dropping the entire time as you're doing this. When Josh and I were in India, we heard a great secret from our yoga teacher. He said, have just the smallest essence of a smile on your face when you're practicing. Sort of a smile in your eyes, and it makes everything so much more fun. The next energy center is the navel chakra, which is about will and determination, decision making. And the Qigong movement for this is we're going to breathe in, step out with one foot while breathing out. Breathing in again, stepping back, and just step out with the alternate foot. We're just going to alternate feet the whole way. Provides a nice stretch for the Achilles, calves. And we can work on balancing our weight, keeping it under us at all times as we move. Breathing in. Draw back. Seeing how easily we can move forward towards our goals. How flexibly we can draw back and be resilient. Qigong certainly builds patience, which is a virtue of the navel chakra. But patience can be really a pleasant experience when done right. So the next movement we're going to work on is for the heart. This is sort of a stepping forward and an opening of the chest. Thinking about initiating the movement from literally the center of our body. So it's like this is opening first and spreading to our arms. And it opens the chest, shoulders. We breathe in while we do that. Step forward. And then step back, breathing out. Opening again. Really opening and initiating from the sternum. It feels amazing. You can imagine your heart's energy kind of expanding, becoming bigger. Or if you have a prayer for somebody, you can send it to them. And two more. A Qigong tip for any beginners is that we want to keep our head more or less balanced over the spine. We don't want it kind of floating or looking down or looking up. Relaxed, but sort of centered over the spine. Next is for our throat chakra, which is about self-expression and sort of speaking one's truth. And so we start closed like this, and it's a similar movement except at the throat level. We're expanding, opening the throat. The head goes back on this one, and comes back forward. We close it, exhaling, open again. Yeah, clear the throat. As performers, this is a great one to think about sending out your personality without any inhibition at all. When you're on stage, or just in any part of life, when you want to shine. It's the last one. Great. And for the third eye, we're just going to breathe in. This is called carrying the moon. And we're just going to go up, breathing in as we come up. Exhaling down. As light as possible. Holding this shape with relaxation. Feel a, and it needs to be maintained with relaxation. I have a lot of trouble accessing it if I'd not relaxed. And so holding this shape with relaxation and fluidity, to me, really represents the work we do with our third eye. Let's just do a couple more, as peaceful and slow as you like. All right. The final movement I'm going to show tonight is for the crown chakra. And what we're going to do is we're going to travel up, breathing in, and opening with an exhale around. You might recognize this from a little yoga. Hands back to prayer. Inhaling. Literally over the crown, not too high. And then we're going to open the crown. Exhale. Imagine like we're imagining an antenna up there. Opening the antenna, turning it on. Relaxing the shoulders, the mid-back. Relaxing the hips. All right, thank you. That quickly demonstrates a little bit of a Qigong routine for chakra balancing. Josh, do you want to talk about how you feel right now?
Okay.
You notice any differences between before we did this and afterwards?
Well, I mean, definitely my mind is a lot quieter. Noticing some tension in my shoulders. All this sort of moving my arms. But I feel pretty calm, and I feel pretty sort of centered.
Did you notice any difference in the feeling of speed of time?
It definitely feels a lot slower.
Yeah, it feels slower.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any changes in your perception or mood?
I'm more calm, relaxed, and I feel that I'm like all my senses are like very sharp. Like
Yeah.
I'm feeling more, and it's through the chakras, I think.
I can feel some chi in my hands.
Yeah, it's such a delight just to feel the air on our fingertips. I forget about that all the time. Yeah, I feel exactly the same. Sharper senses, more calm, more centered, and just alert but relaxed, which is a state that I want more of and have always wanted more of. So even a 5 or 10 minute Qigong routine without any talking, practicing these ideas of reversal of eyes and ears will yield massive benefits to your life as far as focus, energy, relaxation, and power. Our next guest has arrived at the treehouse.
Good.
And I think we are going to move on and talk about visioning and life. It's exactly at the hour mark. And Josh and I are going to now lead a session talking about how we can plan, look back, and sort of create a vision or a story for ourselves that's authentic.
Maybe we'll take 5 minutes.
Yeah, let's take 5 minutes and we will reconvene back here.